Okay, today's lesson is going to be on if-then statements in Excel. So what I want to do, the first thing I want to do is just show you how to sum up or average um, a grade, for instance. So let's just say the person made a 50, which is bad, 100, they studied again, 80, and a 95. The way that you average the grade is that you would use a function called average. And as you can see, it pops up automatically. The f of x is called a function. And then you simply highlight A to B2. And put your other parentheses and then hit enter. And that gives you your numerical grade. Now what we want to do on a grading scale is to say 90, we want a 10-point grading scale. So 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, and 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, and everything else below that is an F. Well, with that, we have to do a function called an if-then statement. So I would say, and it is a function in Excel, but to write it out, as you see my formula bar up here, I say if, and then since this is in cell E2, if E2 is greater than or equal to 90, and then you put a comma, and in parentheses, you put what you want that cell to show if that is true. And then you put a comma, and you say, well, and it reads from left to right. So as you can see, the formula is up here, right here. It reads left to right. And as Excel is reading it, it reads to see if it's greater than 90. And as you can see, it doesn't. So it goes to the next requirement to the right. So now you would say if, and then you say E2 again is greater than or equal to 80, comma, then you can have a B. So that actually does work for this, but let's go further so that if this did not happen to be within that range, what would Excel want to do? So Excel will go to the next statement, and we'll say if E2 is greater than or equal to 70, parenthesis, we want to put a C there, and then a comma, if E2 is greater than or equal to a 60, then we want a D. And since everything else is in an F, normally you could say if it's less than 60 F. Or what happens when it's reading left to right? It goes from one statement to the next, to the next, to the next. And if all the statements are not true, you put a comma and say E. So it's not within those ranges. If it's not, then it's an E. And then you have to look and see how many parentheses you have that need to be closed out. And as you can see, these parentheses are in a certain color. So I do it until I see a black one. And that's how I know that I'm done. And the grade that should end up with is a B. Let's say, just to test this, let's say they made a 20 on the test and a 20 on and a 30 on this test. You see how it's changing? So their numerical grade is a 56, so they have an F. If I change this to 80, they have a numerical grade of 68.75, and that's a D. So that is a lesson on the if-then statement. I'll leave this up right here for a minute if you want to kind of jot down the syntax of it. But in general, the first if has a parentheses, the next one, comma, another parentheses. You do not close it out until the end of your if statements. And usually that's at the end where it says if it's none of the statements to the left, your default is E. So that has been one of the lessons that I have. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you want to learn more about Excel spreadsheets or Visual Basic Programming. My name is Jacqueline. Have a good night.